See, it's recording. So I promised to record this call for the larger Indy community. This is the Evernym team's contributions to the Indy project. And so we want to record this call so we can share it in the Indy working group call with other stakeholders that are interested. The agenda today, so as a team, we just completed our sprint labeled 1809. And we're starting our sprint labeled 1810. The goals, sorry, let me share my screen and bring in. And I should say now that I started the recording, I am Richard Esplin, the product manager at Evernym. And this is the team that works on Indy Node and Indy SDK. So hopefully you're seeing my screen share. Is that correct? Anybody confirming?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. So the goals of 1809 is to focus on the stability of Indy deployed Indy ledgers. Currently, the current implementation of the Indy ledger is the sovereign network, and we're excited to see that that network getting used. And we want to make sure it's stable for the people that are adopting it. And so we brought into this sprint a number of items related to that. We're also migrating from LevelDB to RocksDB, and the goal there is to RocksDB has some additional capabilities that LevelDB doesn't, so we want to take advantage of those. That's the goal for Indy Node, and the SDK is working on items related to a payment interface to make it easy for people to plug in a payment system into the CLI. So that was the goal we had there. We have not yet completed all the work in the sprint, but we made progress on some significant items. And so let's go to the demo. We're going to start with the Indy SDK, and Nikita is going to share. So I'll stop my sharing so that you can share. Is that all right, Nikita? And if you're talking, Nikita, you're on mute.
Yeah, chicken. Is it?
Okay. Do you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, nice. So, we have implemented.
So we're not seeing your screen yet.
Oh, wait. Do you see it now? So I'm sharing now, or what?
Yes. I do not see it
yes,
yet. Does anybody else see it? Oh, there it is. Yes, I see it. Just a minute.
So we implemented an API in Indy. So now we can integrate plugins into Indy to work with payments. So we have methods for register plugin. So this method should be called by plugin. And then we have a number of methods that users should call to work with plugins. So like to create payment address, then to list them, then to add request fees to some transaction that is made by some other Indy transaction. So it's like a payment for a transaction here. Then we have a number of methods in this API to parse responses from ledgers connected to fees and payments. So we can so we build with this method build get UTXO request. We can build a request to get a list of UTXOs from a ledger, then to parse this response. then we can make a payment with this API. So this method in this API serves for these issues. Then we can parse payment responses. This method will be called only once, so it's just for minting the tokens. And then there are configurational calls to set fees for some ledger, then to get information about fees in ledger, and then to parse its response. Also, we have implemented a null plugin just for testing purposes, or just to have some experience to build applications over the libindy. This one will be more convenient. So for each method, we have an ability to mock some calls. We just init it with this call from anywhere, and then we can mock some results that are returned by a plugin. And then we just made such a mock for every call to the plugin, that is. And then we made tests that are covering functionality of API, not a plugin. So there are a lot of positive tests that are just check that a return value is okay. And then there are negative tests when the data is not really correct that we pass in these tests. So I'll try to run all the tests. No, oh, I have a problem. Let's just try one.
Well, you get those tests to run. So the value of the payment system, we've had requests to make it so you can, by assigning a payment to ledger transactions, we hope to reduce spam and provide an incentive to people that are maintaining that ledger. And it also can allow people to purchase credentials in a way that they can implement within the system. So it works well with the ledger.
Yeah, also these payments can be used as some generic payment system, similar to Bitcoin, for example.
Yeah.
So that's it about null payment plugin and payments API, I think. Yeah,
actually this work will allow to, for example, continue work for Lip subtoken team that performs implementation of real payment plugin for libindy. Also, it will allow to perform some testing and for application teams who performs integration of this payment functionality to our application, like Connect Me or libDCX and something like this.
Thank you, Slava. So thank you, Nikita, for the demo, and it's great to see how those interfaces work. And Artem is going to show us how it's surfaced in the command line interface.
Hi, do you hear me?
Yes, we do.
I'd like to share my screen. Do you see?
Yes.
Okay, I would like to show a little demo. We integrated payment API into the libindy CLI layer. First of all, we need to perform some preparation steps similar to pool creation. Sorry. Connect to it. Create new wallet. and create bit. I'll use trust seed for my bit and use a bit. Okay, now preparation step is done. First, I will work with null payment plugin which described Nikita some time ago. I placed a binary artifact in the root folder of the Indy CLI. To load this plugin, there is load plugin command and two params library. Here you can specify plugin name or full path to this plugin artifact. And second parameter is initialization function. For null payment plugin, it's this called null pay init. Now null payment plugin is loaded. All the functions were registered, and now we can perform payment operation. First of all, let's create two different payment addresses. First and second. To get a list of all payment addresses stored in wallet, there is payment address list command. Now we have two different payment addresses. Next, let's set fees for the main transaction in the ledger. We move to ledger group commands, set fees prepare. Payment method now fees one. Okay. Next, we need to grant some tokens for this payment address. I would like to add 15 tokens for first payment address. After this, we need to prepare mint transaction. Oops. That's 15. Okay, let's now assume that I am owner of this payment address. I would like to get all UTXOs that are available for me. For that I need to perform get UTXO command. The command has one param payment address. And I have one UTXO input with 15 tokens and some extra data. Next, I would like to perform payment operation. Ledger. Payment. As inputs, I will use this. And outputs, I will use second payment address that we created in the start. And I remove one token. And I specify my payment address to get refund. Okay, payment operation was performed. Next, I would like to get fees that were set in the ledger for null payment method. Ledger get fees method. Now, in this table, I can see the fees. And now, for example, let's send schema transaction that takes some fees. Ledger. As input, I'll use this one. And this outputs. I'll specify my payment address to get the fund. It is 4 tokens. Whoa. I already have some schema into ledger. I have some problem. I'd like to change version. Okay, I have added schema. That's it. I'll describe all commands. Also, we can load plugin when we start Bindy, but now it's hard because I use carg command for it. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I like the interactive help. And the error messages seem pretty good. It's nice to see made a lot of progress on that, so that's excellent. Now we're going to look at the Indy Node. Alex was going to share with us the new transaction format.
Okay, thank you. Moment. Yes, you can see my screen. One of the tasks that we would like to do before TDE is a migration to the new format for transaction, and the motivation for this is to have a more structured format where we explicitly differentiate between data and metadata, like assigned by transaction, by request by the client, and by the ledger. And also to have a more correct and more predictable signatures using some default serialization methods. We also would like to do this before TDE, just to avoid a huge migration of transactions on the ledger after the TDE event, when we have quite a lot of payments and payload transactions. And in fact, we would like to combine this refactoring with the RocksDB migration, so that we just have one big migration before TDE. This is how what is the current format of transactions before this refactoring. So as you can see, all the data here is mixed together. There is some payload from request, as well as some request metadata, such as request ID, and as well as some transaction metadata assigned by the pool, for example, transaction time. And it's really not clear what's going on there, and it's really not clear, for example, this signature, what data is signed, what serialization was used for signing, and so on. And in the new proposed format, you can see that we explicitly have the format for the payload. This one has come from the client, as well as transaction metadata assigned by the pool, such as transaction time, sequence number, ID, and so on, and the signature, which also comes from the client. In addition to these changes in the transaction format, the reply for write requests is also going to be changed a bit, so it will follow actually the same approach as well. Replies for read requests, for get requests are not going to be changed now before TDE, just to avoid too many changes, and it can be done later in a backward compatible way. A couple of words of how it's done. So we have a utility method which transforms old format to the new one, and the current request format to the new one. By the way, request format is not changed, only the transaction one is changed. So that's how it's done, and we have a set of tests which can be exercised, and this is the expected format and the initial one, and these tests just prove that this is done correctly. So I think that's all that I wanted to show you.
Excellent, thank you for that. And Olga was going to take us through the load testing. I should explain while Olga shares her screen. Evernym is very focused on getting the sovereign network to the point where they can start transacting credentials and getting production use cases on that network. And so that's why what Alex was referring to, why we're trying to get as much of this refactoring and these stability concerns resolved immediately, so that we can continue that hardening, that march towards that event. Olga, is part of that, has been doing load testing to try and make sure that the system's going to perform as expected. And so Olga, you can share your screen when you're ready.
Okay, hello. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So.
Good. We're seeing Slack. Excellent.
Sorry. One of tasks for QA team during the sprint was load testing. For load testing, we use AWS pool of 25 nodes with M for large instances and test scripts which use libindy to simulate writing or reading lines. The main purpose of this testing was localization of kernel stability issues. We performed tests with different client count, with different log levels, and with enabled or disabled change. As the result of this testing, we have found some problems with memory leaks. Another interesting thing is that the pool works much more stable with disabled view change and without logging. In this spreadsheet, you can see our detailed test results. As you can see here, our largest ledger was gotten with enabled view change, with almost turned off logging, and with more than 10 clients. We can get 1 million transactions during 4 days. Also here you can see our throughput. It's about 24 transactions per second. And this row is for throughput for reading. But now we have some problems with current load scripts and can't evaluate this value now. Also, for a short summary, you can use this spreadsheet. We are trying to keep it up to date. Also note that current load scripts are far from ideal and have some problems with statistic. Probably current throughput is bigger than this value. Now team is working on scripts improvement and fixing of problems with statistic. That's all.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And that was really useful information. I found it really fascinating that the logging was a bigger impact than the view change. And we're looking at how we've ordered things in the backlog to try and figure out the right way to address that. So we do have time for one question, if there's any questions. Well, you look for your mute button if you have any questions. The next sprint, we are changing when our sprints are ending. Instead of ending on Wednesday, we're going to end on Thursday going forward. Being 1 day off the rest of the teams in the company will hopefully allow us to find more time for sprint demos and our sprint ceremonies. But I can only find 30 minutes. So if people have detailed questions, we'll have to allow the time for feedback on Slack or reach out to us in other channels. In the coming sprints, we're going to do our planning on Monday because I'm going to be with the Russia team. So, but we're going to continue to look at the stability, continue to finish the most critical refactorings before our event of putting live credentials on the network later this year. And on the CLI, we're going to continue the work we've been doing on hardening that as well. Any questions? Looks like Jackson, you're the key stakeholder here.
I appreciate it. It's been a good demo. I loved what I've seen. Impressed with the testing methods that we're leveraging and all the features that were able to be shown. So thanks, team.
Thank you. Any, looking at the participant list, Kelly, or Steve Tolman, any other questions or concerns?
I love the demos. I'm glad to see them happening, and I'm excited to see more in the future. So, awesome job, everybody.
Yep, I'd say the same thing. Great job.
Thank you. So over the next 2 weeks, we know we're going to take some time out for training as a team. While I'm in Russia, we'll be doing additional sprint planning, sizing stories, trying to get better estimates so that we can understand how we're progressing towards the next set of releases. But the team's focus on the CLI will be continuing on the payment, filling out the payments interface and APIs, and integrating the work done by other Evernym teams on the wallet. And on the agent, on the node, I should say, we need to figure out what to do about the logging. That might take some time to architect. And so our focus is on the refactoring the view change and fixing a number of stability problems we found. So excellent. With that, thank you for joining the demo. Thank you, our team in Voronezh, and I look forward to joining you all on Monday.
Thank you, team. Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Talk to you later.
Yeah, I'm going to stop.
Bye.
See you.